Hey everybody, welcome to the show, my show on relationships. Hey, Ivy, why? Okay, why? Why do we go through what we go through? All right. In the background, you're listening to the Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin. This song is called "Rock with Me." That's what I want y'all to do tonight. I want y'all to rock with me with this show. Okay. Anyway, we're talking about relationships. I'm going to tell you about my experiences and the guys that I have had contact with, what I've learned. Then we're going to talk about, at the end, the 6 qualities to look for in a partner. And this pertains to everybody because you need these 6 qualities in order to have a nice, healthy relationship. Healthy relationships. Hold on, Letha. So when we say healthy relationship, anybody can have a relationship. We all different types of relationships. We have family relationships. We have work relationships. We have friendships. We have with lovers, spouses, what have you, children, whatever. But we're talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about my relationships and the relationships that I've been in. I've been in probably, I'm going to say from high school, probably to high school, then college, and then work, and then so probably about 5 relationships. So I'm going to quickly go through them as quickly as I can. I'll slip in little stories about different things that they did and what kind of changed me. One of the things we have to do is we really have to listen to our own instinct. There's something inside of us here that tells us that some things just ain't right. But sometimes we just ignore it because we think that we know all the answers, and we don't listen to the God that lives inside of us. Because number one, we need to put God first before we do anything. Even when we're young, we need to put God first. God needs to be first in our lives and everything that we do. We need to be reading this all the time. I'm guilty of not doing it myself, but I did minor in religion. So I did have to go through the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelations, and and I come from a very good family that prays, as many of you do. Prayer really does work. But when it comes to relationships, sometimes we can pick people, like they say, you could be at a party with 1,000 people and 2 of the crazy people will find each other and meet, okay? So maybe that's what it is, You find somebody who either, how they say opposites attract. Well, sometimes they attract maybe in the beginning, but then during the course of the relationship, you find that it's kind of annoying. I'm just saying. So anyway, if everyone, when they meet someone, would just lay all their cards out on the table, because the truth of the matter is, how they say, I say, just be yourself. I have to be myself because everybody else is taken, So that's what you have to do. You just have to be yourself and trust that the person is going to, still want to be with you and still want to learn about you and care about you, regardless. Sometimes when you're in a relationship and you meet somebody, guys, just be upfront and honest, because it saves so much trouble, in the end. Because granted, if you lay all your cards on the table and you say something that's mature, like, I really would like to get to know you, but right now I'm in a relationship. It's kind of like, it's tithering on the outs, we're trying to separate. But when it's over, I would love to contact you. You have nothing but the highest of respect for a gentleman who would do something like that. But most of them don't do that. Now, I was with someone who did not do that at all. They were in a relationship, married to somebody else in another state, and just kept lying and lying. And you know how people say, oh, I was just lying to protect you. No, they're lying to protect themselves because they want to have their cake and they want to eat it too, you know? And so that's what they do. They lie to you and they, string you along, if you will. So, so anyway, I'm guilty of not listening to my instincts because in the 5 relationships that I dealt with, and there was something about the guys that I just never should have. I should have listened to my own instincts, which I did not do. But if people would just be honest, well, first of all, the first relationship, we were in high school together, so I just have to ignore that one. I really do have to ignore that one. The second relationship was in college, and that one too was kind of cuckoo, but I did get to go to Florida with him. And I had my 2 daughters, one from high school, the other one's from college, and they're 4.5 years apart. And the both families I'm close with. I love both families of both of the fathers. One was an athlete, one was a intellectual. The first one he was captain of the basketball team, played football. I was captain of the cheering squad, co-captain of the girls basketball team, played soccer, ran boys track, so I was an athlete too. So that's what that was all about. And the second was just academics. I'm working on my undergraduate degree at Syracuse, and he was working on his master's at the School of Maxwell School of Public Administration. So that was kind of good, and we met in Bird Library. Anyway, I went with him to Florida after he graduated. He graduated with his master's at the age of 21. So he was a pretty brilliant person. Brilliant in the sense that he was book smart, but when it came to social skills, that was a whole nother thing. I mean, he did have a lot of lady friends, if you will, girls, those, what do you call it? Army brats, so to speak, beautiful girls. And I gained the freshman. They say freshman 15. I gained a freshman 35. I went to school weighing 119 pounds and came back weighing like 158 or something. So I was out of control. And it's probably because I was just very disappointed in the first relationship and didn't want to talk to any guys for like 4 years. I took a break and just said, I'm just going to focus on my studies, which didn't work because I kind of overdid it. But anyway, I'm close with my high school sweetheart's family. I love them. His father was like the best. And I was friends with his sisters and friends with his brothers, of course. And I still love them all very, very much. Same thing with my second daughter from college. Her family, her grandmother there was just absolutely wonderful. I mean, I traveled. They said, just because you break up with him don't mean you're breaking up with us, okay? And when his mom passed away a few years ago, and she was wonderful, and I took the train, the Amtrak, to her surprise 80th birthday party at the University of Miami. So that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. So I say all that to say that I don't understand when people are in a relationship with someone that they once loved, someone that they once, cared immensely for, whether they thought they were in love with them or if they thought they were in lust with them. Either way, you love somebody and then all of a sudden you hate their guts. I don't understand that. So I don't have that problem. The third guy that I was with, we were together for about 8-9 years. And, we bought our first car together, we lived together. But, he was this is where a lot of the deceit comes in. It came in college because with my daughter's father, I didn't know about this whole common law thing that the state of Florida had with my youngest daughter's father. So, but again, I still loved his parents. So let's get into the part when I became an adult. So now, 20-something years old, I meet this guy. We're in Syracuse. I'm working for Syracuse University at this time. And I meet him. We lived in the same apartment complex, Cherry Hill apartment complex. He lived in the towers, and I lived in the townhouses, so I had a duplex. And I met him. He was very nice. He worked for Mutual of New York. Anybody who remembers Mutual of New York. He was a very nice guy. I thought tall, handsome, just very, very nice. Very soft spoken. A real. I thought he was like very nice, very handsome. Anyway, long story short, we met, but he was a sneaky snake. Now, I should have known that from the inside, but I didn't pay any attention. And, you know, I'm not the kind of girl who, again, if you're seeing somebody, if you don't want to be in a relationship, I'm okay with that. Because there are women who will, regardless of what, like I've said before, you could be married and your wife could be getting ready to have a baby, and that woman will still want to be with you. I'm not that kind of person. We'll come back to that again. So anyway, I knew he was a sneaky kind of guy because one time I was a DJ. So we love music. Music has always brought me together with people. No matter what, even when no matter what, whether I was dating somebody or not, guys would always say, Ivy, you got to hear this song. So music was everything. Anyway, so he asked me to, teach him how to DJ and all this kind of stuff. And so we started seeing each other, seeing each other meaning not intimately, but like I'd go over on Sundays and, we'd watch, sports together and that kind of thing. And this guy was not honest. He was this sneaky snake kind of a guy, I find out. How I got him one time was I came over one Sunday to say goodnight, just to say goodnight. I just came over to the tower just to say goodnight because I was washing clothes in the tower. That's how we met. I was putting some stuff in the dryer. And he said, did you touch my clothes? And I said, they've been in there for a long time. I just, took them out. Anyway, so one night I came over to say goodnight. And I heard his voice lapping with the girl right across the hall. Now, in the hallway, they put the doors smack dab right across from each other. Okay, boom, 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 boom. So I heard his voice. And so I knocked on the girl's door because he lived right across the hall. So I rang the doorbell. And I said, hi. I said, and what the heck? Let me use his name. Anna. It ain't gonna make no difference because it's the truth. So I said, is Lee here? And so she said, she had her head sticking out the door. She didn't open the door up all the way. So she said, no, he's not here. So I said, okay, but I'm looking in her apartment because even though she had the door cracked, you could see into the bathroom. He was in the bathtub in the shower, peeking out the shower, the shower curtain. You can't make this stuff up. So I said, okay. So I leave, and I pretend like I'm leaving. And I said, you know what? She's lying. He's lying. Why? I don't know. Because he and I wasn't sleeping together or anything. So I said, you know what? I'm up for the challenge. So I go back and he's talking again. I'm listening. So I rang the doorbell again because he thought I was gone. So she said, oh, hi, Ivy. So I said, hi. I said, you know what? Can I use your phone for a second? I just want to call to make sure maybe he's in there, he's in the bathroom, he's sleeping or something. So I said, you mind if I use your phone? So she was like, oh, okay. So he's back in the shower again in the tub. So I called, and of course he, didn't answer because the phone was across the hall, is ringing. This is before the cell phones. He always had a pager. So I said, okay. I said, thank you so much, So I left, and something said to me, this one, God is working, okay? Take your key to your apartment and put it in his door. So sure enough, I take the key, put it in his door. Don't you know, clickety, click, 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 it opens up his apartment door. Now, I knew he had just gotten some new speakers. So I said, I know a good way to get him to come all running back over to his apartment. So this was just a coincidence. Don't ask me, things just happen. Because God is always there with me. So I opened up the door and took the big chair. He had a couch, a matching couch, and a chair. And I took the big armchair and I opened up the door and I sat in it. I left the door open. So this way, he can't pretend like he's just coming home because I'm sitting in this door with the door held open. I'm sitting in this door with the chair as a door stopper, wide open. I turn his stereo up to blast, okay? He hears his stereo across the hall and he comes out running. I said, well, hello there. Where did you come from? So he says, how did you get into my apartment? I said, with the key. And he says, I didn't give you a key. I'm calling the cops. I said, okay, call them. So sure enough, he called the police. 2 police officers came. Now the door is closed. I'm sitting in there. He's saying, how did you get in? Blah, blah, blah. So the cops come in and they said, and I'm sitting there all cool and calm and collected, like nothing. And so they said, what's the problem? And so he said, she broke into my house. So I said, officer, I didn't break into his house. He invited me here. That's why I'm like here sitting. We're talking. And so he says, I don't understand. How did she break in? He said, she used her key. And they're like, you gave her a key? He said, no, it's her key to her apartment, but it goes to my. So I was like, I'm looking at the cops like, I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's, on something. He was at the neighbor's house across the, maybe she gave him something. I don't know. So they said, well, there's no evidence of her breaking in, and she did use a key to get in. What do you want to do? So they said, do you want to press charges? You can't really press charges. So he said, no. He said, well, the only thing we can tell you to do is have your locks changed with the managers. So I'm sitting there and I'm cracking up because he has no idea how I got into the apartment. So that was, I believe, God's way of saying, this guy is a snake. You see him hiding in the shower in this other woman's house. So, I mean, what more do I need to do? Well, not me. I got a hard head. I don't listen. We ended up, dating and going out and, living together and the whole 9 yards. And then while I was working for Syracuse, I ended up going into the airlines because he was working for Mutual of New York. He had been hired as a computer programmer. And so we were together for like 9 years. We accomplished a lot. We bought a place together. We ended up moving from Syracuse to Yonkers. And, I could have gotten a job with Mutual New York, but he kept saying no, because what if both of you, there's a layoff and both of us get laid off? We should work for different companies and blah, blah, blah. And it sounded like a good thing. But what I found out later on was that he was screwing like 5 women in the company. He even had this one girl, Teresa, come and stay with us because she was Irish and her husband was Italian, and the Italian people didn't like her because she was Irish. And so the husband asked if she could come and stay with us. And I'm working like double shifts at MCI as a computer programmer and computer operator, rather. He was a programmer, I was an operator. And we both worked corporate in Westchester. And the funny thing is that one day I came home, he didn't come pick me up, but one day I came home and they both were sprawled on the bed. She was sprawled on one bed in the guest bedroom. He was sprawled on like they barely made it, he was naked, she was bare. I was like, so I just looked and I thought to myself, wow. So she must have felt really guilty about it. I don't think he ever had any guilt. I mean, his whole thing was, I found out that in the company, some of the guys there told me that his motto was, why should I deny a woman, of having me if she wants to have me? But I was good to him. We had a good relationship in the beginning. Then he started using cocaine. And he started using cocaine and he was flipping out, and I tried to get him help, but He was just not trying to hear it. And cocaine really changes you. This was a guy who paid the bills as soon as they came in. We did everything together. We went places together. I really enjoyed being in the relationship with him the first few years because he really, redeemed himself, of that. Oh, before we got together, after that thing with the me turning the key, I have forgot to tell you this. So he played baseball. So the company had these baseball teams, right? So he played baseball, and one time when he was out on the field, he somebody didn't call the ball, and he ended up having his ear bitten. And I found out that he had gotten hurt at work, but that I went to the hospital, but this white girl that he was on his job, because he didn't care, he was trying to see everybody in the globe. For him, I wasn't exotic enough. That was the whole thing. He wanted exotic women. He was trying to see as many different types of ethnicities as he could sleep with. So he had some kind of sickness because I think he had gotten hurt. Very smart, made lots of money. But the money would be spent. We bought a place in Yonkers, and we ended up losing it because of the cocaine. Now, for some reason, he thought that it was me, like I kept some money. The funny thing is I would be waiting for him to come and pick me up after doing a double shift at MCI out in Rybrook, and I would wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. This guy somewhere, sleeping with this Jamaican woman who worked with them. It was supposed to be his secretary. And come to find out, I didn't even know this until later on. He had gotten her pregnant twice, okay? Because she would say things like, "Oh, do you think that Lee would ever leave Ivy and come and be with me? I have dreams of Lee and I strolling on the beach as the waves run up against the beach, and then the two of us, we fall onto the sand and we make mad, passionate love." So she would always ask my friends, because I had a lot of friends that worked at the same company that he worked for, and it was just she and her Harlequin romance novel descriptions of stuff, and he was all for it. He did not want to deny her. I guess, I don't know if she snorted cocaine too, but, that's what he did. And, it just, the relationship got bad because he really wanted to be this playboy, and he was very sneaky. And one time he looked me in my face. We were having this conversation, man. This guy changed so much. The cocaine was unbelievable. And I think he's still mad at me because he thinks that I left him. Somehow he felt like him screwing the secretary, getting her pregnant twice, her keeping the baby the second time and having a boy, me coming back in from Hawaii, he got another woman in the apartment, not even the one that's pregnant, but he got to tell me that the woman's pregnant. I think that relationship hurt me more than anything else because I really thought that we were going to make it. And I loved his father. His father loved me. His mom, I loved them. I really, really did. And it's just really very sad because somehow this guy was like, he used to say to me, "I didn't really want to come to New York, back to New York." And I said, "Why didn't you say something?" He was this born again Christian, allegedly, who would be handing stuff out on the street. But he was like filled with sin and lies, and he was just so sneaky. He looked at me one time and he said, "If we ever broke up," he said, "everybody would blame you because you're so outgoing." He said, "but they would never blame me because I'm the quiet one." So I said, man, that is a dark spirit inside of this guy that, I should have known. He was just, the cocaine just exacerbated the problem. So he ended up having a baby with this girl. I never saw the baby. I didn't even see her, but she had other children from other guys, and he liked that because she was very sexual. He used to go crazy because I didn't sit in the car the way that he wanted. I sit in the car straight with my back, for my back, and he said, "Yeah, look at how you sitting. You should be sitting with your legs." I guess the women that he was with did all kinds of things to him while he was driving. He bought a sports car, this white sports car. He said, "Ivy, you should see how the women look at me in this car." So clearly, he used to be the guy of my dreams, suit and tie, dress good. Always went with me wherever we went. We were like two peas in a pod, very thoughtful, very considerate. We had a cat, Frisky. Frisky loved him because when I was in the airlines, he got her when she was a little. We got her when she was a little tiny kitten, and I thought we were gonna have to go to family court for the cat. It's just really sad because right now he's a very mean and bitter kind of person. He did do well with the company, even though he was on cocaine. They didn't care. They sent him to EAP, Employee Assistance Program, got him right, but I don't think his head ever got right because his heart was never right. He didn't end up going to be with the girl from Jamaica that had the baby. He ended up being with this other girl who was from Portugal. He ended up being with her. I've never met her. They all, I guess, knew who I was because when I came back from Hawaii, the girl Jeanette that he had the baby from called me and said, "That's right. The whole time you were in Hawaii, I was with your," she said, "I was in your house with your man and your bed." And, I was like, well, if that makes you feel good. But I was kind of disgusted with him because there was my family pictures on the wall and he had all these people over. It was really disgusting. And I'm sure he's very upset with me because I did not stay with him. I did have him go to Cocaine Anonymous. They had these places, but he said, I don't belong there. Those people have lost everything. Well, we're about to lose everything. You know, I didn't tell his parents, because they loved him so much. He was their only son. He was the oldest. I tried to spare him. I don't know why. He certainly wasn't trying to spare me. He left me holding the bag at the closing of the house. He thought that I got some equity. There was no equity from that place. He had snorted it all up his nose. And I ended up owing I had to clean the whole place where his friends, they had straws and they were playing cards and they had pallets and beds all over the floor. I came in, there was bags, duffel bags, condoms, everything. Oh, it was horrible. And I'm sure he doesn't even want to remember any of this stuff. But he was absolutely insane with the drugs. And there wasn't a lot that I could really do, but I cleaned the place up, and then at the closing, I owed $3,000. There was no equity, nothing. Everything was gone. We lost everything, and I still gave him some of the record collection, because I had records collected, and it was just really bad. Crates and crates and crates of records. Now all the records are gone. So, I mean, anything. And I really love those records. They have been a collection of records that I've been doing since I was on the radio. I had 2 radio shows up at Syracuse. So, this is really sad. And I really loved him. There were times when I felt like I was going to die inside because the woman had been in my house, and my girlfriend Gail, she would talk to her and she would say yes. Sometimes he would flip me over the couch. And I mean, it was just a real heartbreak because he didn't respect himself. He didn't respect me, and he didn't respect that relationship. And there were times when I would be driving and I loved him so much. I think my heart was broken when he told me he had gotten this woman pregnant. And he said, that ugly woman is having my baby. Well, she wasn't ugly when you were like, all over her sweating. But, it's what she wanted. I mean, whatever she did, she did. And to this day, I don't know anything about the child. I never saw the child. But he's mad at me like I'm the one who went outside of the relationship and had a baby with the secretary, with another person. Meanwhile, he was seeing like 5 women on the job, and then it's okay. I should have stayed with him. Well, I'm 20 something years old, 30 years old. I'm not staying with you because why would I? Because you're only going to continue to do the same thing. I mean, he's just sneaky. I helped him get to this grade 14. And I had made myself all up and sitting there waiting for him, because every day he would come home and tell me about how this other guy, this friend that was working there, would always be, telling the director what he was doing. And I said, they keep dangling this carrot in front of your face. You're going to do the same thing. Because they kept telling him, we're going to give you this grade. We're going to give you this grade. And he never got it. And then finally, when he did get it, I was so happy for him, because it meant more money, everything. He was like the first black guy to get this position in the company. But he wasn't spending it with me. I was all decked up, ready to go. We had dinner reservations to go somewhere. I sat up. The sun shining was out, and we had reservations, and I waited for hours in the living room. And by the time he came home, it was dark. And like what people do, they switch everything around. And guess what he said? What are you doing in here sitting in the dark? I started in the sunlight, and, so it was like blaming me. Oh, I got sick. I threw up. I couldn't make it. They kept buying me drinks. I couldn't say no, but here's a woman who helped you, who coached you through all of this. Nothing. I supported him with everything. And then one time I had a car. We used to have these, dinner gatherings on Friday. I had a car, and he used the car. Now, one time he went out and he said, Ivy, I'm going to go out and I'm going to move the car, because, you have the opposite side of the street. So we had one car in the garage underneath the building that we lived in, and we had another car, and he was going to go move that car. So I said, okay, because I trusted him. This is in the beginning. So he goes out, he moves the car. I'm in bed. I'll get up the next day. He's not home. I get dressed. I hear him click, 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 the window. With the door. And so I just stood there, because I need the keys to go to work. And he comes in, and I'm right there at the door. I said, where'd you park the car, Timbuktu? Oh, I just had to go for a drive. Really? You went for a drive all night long? Really? Okay, not a problem. I'm in my suit. I'm leaving. I'll see you later. Because at that time I worked for Pace Law School. So I left. But he never apologized for any of that. He came in when he got that grade 14 that we were waiting so, and I coached him on. Never said thank you, nothing. And then one time he took the car and he came back home. We were having guests over, because we would have guests every Friday. People who work for Johnson & Johnson. So it was a party with a purpose. Young people who got together. I've been doing this for years. We'd get together and we would talk about, stocks and anything that we wanted to do to invest. And, the guys would bring the drinks, girl would bring a dish. I started that in Syracuse when I was 20-something. We brought it to Yonkers where we lived. And he comes running in the house before the guests get there. Ivy, I wrecked your car. And I said, oh my God. I said, he said, you're not gonna make me pay for it, are you? So I was like, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I'm okay. Well, where's the car? He left it somewhere, Again, the devil. Okay, the devil. Because there's nothing godly about this guy. So I really wanted to, I would have loved to have been in a relationship with him forever, because I was committed. One of the things that you need in a relationship is commitment. How to be a better person, how to know the partner that you're with. And unfortunately, I just kept bumping heads with these nuts. He wasn't an honest person, even with his own family. Like his mother said, Ivy, you and Butchie make so much money. Why is it that? Because, he hadn't been paying the mortgage. He had stopped paying the mortgage. My thing is, I should have quit while I was behind. That's just all there is to it. But I didn't. Because at 24 years old, maybe I just thought he was like the cat's meow. We were together. He was very good. He even sat down and said, Ivy, you don't make as much money as I do. It's not fair for you to pay half of the... Because he was, he was with his father. Every guy I've ever been with had their father in their lives. So I don't know anything about this. Well, a boy needs a man in his life. Well, everybody I was with had a man in their lives, their father. So, but it didn't change the way they treated you in a relationship. I mean, it was very sad because we had to break up because he got the woman pregnant. We had to break up because he was on drugs, cocaine. He eventually got off. He's retired now. But man, I forgive everybody for what they do. But my God, these guys, they do the worst stuff to you, but then you're to blame for it. So whoever they end up with, hopefully they're better people. But man, I heard his voice a few weeks ago, and this guy is not nice. We even met one time for dinner. He may not even remember this, but he's still angry at me. I never should have left him. Well, what if I did that? What if I went outside a relationship and got pregnant from another guy? Were you going to help me raise the baby? Anyway, so I'm getting all this out because, again, I wrote most of my papers. I graduated from Marist with my degree in communications. With my concentration was writing for stage and writing for television, TV treatments. So I do all my stuff because this stuff is so real. I do all of it on my relationships because those relationships are crazy. I'm not going to go any more with this, but the bottom line is that this guy finally retired. They never fired him from the job. And when we first broke up, he would send money to the law school for me, like $250 when he got paid. I guess maybe that was some kind of, I don't know, um, maintenance. I guess we lived together for a long time, so he did feel that, but now he's awful. I mean, I could sense the mean rudeness in him. I didn't feel anything nice about him because I guess he's all that now. I remember one time he told me that he wanted a family. And I'm thinking, don't Jeanette have your baby? I'm like, what are you talking to me about? And maybe he had gotten sick at one time. I don't know what the deal was, but whatever it is, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe that what you put into the universe, you get back tenfold, whether it's good or whether it's not good. You can have all the money in the world, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy. When you've treated people badly and you have not even gone to that person to say, what I did was wrong, I never should have treated you that way. And I know that there are some men out there that just are so cold-blooded and cold-hearted that they just don't care. Women too, but I don't date women. I'm strictly heterosexual. Um, I just think that sometimes when a woman has stood by you that long and you've either had children out of the relationship and you've cheated or you've gone used drugs, I think that there comes a time when you ought to have a soul that's gentle enough to say, I'm so sorry for what I did. Um, I never should have done that. But when you have no redeeming qualities, and I want to know why is it that I'm always picking people that don't have redeeming qualities, except for my first daughter's father. He had redeeming qualities. I love him. He's the best. Um, and then I remember my pastor, who was a very good friend. He passed away recently, but he also came and apologized as a friend. And, so that was a good thing. So there are two men in my life who have actually apologize because they were able to be mature enough and their egos didn't get in the way that they could say, what I did was wrong. You never deserved that. These other guys, man, whew, wait until I come back and tell you about the musician. That is nothing. But the musician was a trip too. God, musicians are just trips in general. But anyway, what I learned from that relationship was that I needed to listen to my instincts, which I didn't, and I continued to not listen, I guess. But the quiet guys, I didn't want to be with any more quiet guys because quiet guys were just way too sneaky. They're like little snakes, slithering very quietly, doing things behind your back, And to me, even when I called to just even try to be nice, I think he either thinks that I got money from him destroying our lives and taking our home away from us. Because I remember when we got the paper saying that it was in foreclosure, I remember him saying, "Oh, Ivy, I've ruined our lives. I've ruined our lives." And I said, well, he said, we're going to lose our place. And I said, well, we won't be on the street. Because at that time I had a nice financial portfolio. Um, so I knew I had stocks, I had bonds, I had, a little bit of everything that I could always liquidate. But I wasn't going to do it twice because this happened twice. But the first time, he was like, I ruined our lives. And then he goes and he gets a knife out the kitchen and he says, I'm sitting in a chair because whenever I get stressed, I like to watch something funny. He gets a knife out the kitchen. He says, okay, Ivy, I'm going to kill you first and then I'm going to kill myself. It had to be the drugs. So I said, unless you plan on cutting a nice big piece of juicy steak, you might as well take and put that knife away. Even though we got this, I said, I have money. And I said, how did you lose the money? He told me he was partying. And my idea of partying was going to the clubs because we went to all the clubs, Bentley's, Better Days, the Savage, the Red Parrot, the Red Zone, any of those clubs from back in the day. We would always go. He'd go one time with the guys and then we'd go with the girls and then he and I would go. And he was just wonderful because he would even on the weekends, after we had the dinner parties, he would say, listen, I'm going to do the laundry and I'm going to wash the dishes. He said, you go get your hair done and your nails done. Let me tell you something. Sharp as a tack, both of us, okay? Sharp, honey. But all went down the drain. Once the cocaine came in, I saw him using the cocaine again. He said he needed help. I tried to get him help. He went to EAP. They weren't going to fire him for Mutual New York. They turned into some other divestiture place or whatever. So he's good with the money and everything, but he's not. I don't see him as being happy because if you're rude to me and I didn't do anything to you, but you can think in your mind that I got money from and I bought a car. I bought a car because he was screwing other women while I was working double shifts, and I had to wait. After doing double shifts, I had to wait for him to finish screwing the women to come and get me. So he got mad because I bought a Mazda 323 back in the day. I bought a Mazda off the showroom floor. He told his parents that it was his car. Meanwhile, he didn't give me a dime. He wrecked my other car and didn't even want to pay for that. I was like, man, this guy's a real winner. Because guys can say anything they want because it's always the woman who's the crazy psycho bitch. And I'm thinking, I wasn't crazy or psycho. I might have been crazy for being with you, but, I saw something in him that I really thought that would work. But his penis took over everything. And this thing here, this ego, man, about who he was, and he needed to have exotic women, because if the woman didn't have a certain look about her, why did he have a certain look? Well, I didn't know why he was with me all those years anyway. Because I don't consider myself exotic. I'm just a regular native black American, and that wasn't good enough for him. You needed an accent. I didn't have one. I could bring up my southern one every now and then, but other than that, I'm just an American. Happy to be a native black American woman. Sorry. Anyway, I have talked long enough, guys. I'm going to come back next time with you, and we're going to talk about the next relationship because I'm getting this all out, and I thank you all for listening. Bottom line is listen to yourself, okay? Listen to yourself. Basically, it's important to know about yourself, who you are, and get to know the person that you're with. They always tell you, pay attention to what the guy does and how he acts, not so much of what they do. And that's with women as well, guys. Anybody can tell you that they love you. Guys say it all the time. Like in high school, girl, if you love me, you'll give me some. Okay, whatever some is. Okay. But the truth of the matter is you have to love yourself first. And I think maybe I didn't love myself. And I felt like maybe he was so wonderful that I had been blessed to have him. And I just thought maybe I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. When I think about it, I don't know what I was thinking. I just was happy to be in a relationship with a guy who was tall, dark, handsome, and had a great job. And we had so many things that we accomplished together that it was magnificent. But then that thing down there below his belly button just got in the way. And then the stuff that he put in his nose got in the way. And, you know, I became, something else. So, hey, but don't be mad at me. I mean, it's sad that he is still angry. I guess he'll take it to his grave. But that's his problem, not mine. Anyway, you guys, I'm just saying IVY, IVY. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Now, let's not leave here without Aretha. Yeah, so I was rocking with him, but he wasn't rocking with me. I'm just saying. Okay. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Scream. You claimed you adored me. All talking and no action. See you guys later.